Yeah, so I'll just read from where we left off yesterday. Maybe we stopped here only, was it? Yeah. We were talking about the values yesterday. So I'll just read from two lines before that. How can we become so mechanistic? How can we be without feelings? Reflect on how unsustainable such a life would be. When we go to the market, we inquire about the value of every item, vegetables, grains, gold, and so on. Who determines this value? Only humans can. Since everything is possesses value and humans themselves should be valued, there was a crucial need to understand the value of humans, yet we allotted value to everything else instead. Yeah, so I think we stopped somewhere in the middle there. We can actually discuss this, but yeah, it is rarely that we find that people are more valued than things, especially when we come to areas of city or something like that. They hit literally mark on the shops, no credit given, don't ask for credit, or something like that. You are a god, but payment is instant or something like that. That you are treated like a god because you are a guest or a customer, but then you have to pay up very quickly as you leave. Yeah. Would anybody like to continue reading?
Bhaiya, I'm facing some trouble in my laptop.
Okay.
So give me 2-3 minutes.
Ha. No
So
problem.
I will join through my mobile.
Okay. So we have read this yesterday, so I'll just read again. We clung to the value of those things where profit could be made while neglecting the value of humanity. By comprehending human values, Jeevan values, establishing established values and civic values, concerns about profit and loss vanish. Hmm. We would then live based on usefulness value, which will elevate such a huge burden from the earth. Profit and loss constitute a relentless cycle that not only fails to secure humans, but also destroys everything in its path. Humans can break free from this cycle only when they comprehend the values. It is not going to happen before that. This liberation cannot occur before this understanding dawns. Hmm. So, labh mansikta or profit oriented thought or profit oriented planning business. I was with talk with I was sitting in Mahendra Bhaiya's Shivir once, and he said, "Look at how the cities are designed, and it is just a manifestation of what the mind is thinking today, where there is just the expansion of how to get the maximum profit from everything, be it even the real estate industries or how they are planning the houses. Even if you cough up a lot of money, you are still in a way exploiting the environment because you are building high-rise buildings and then you are just putting the burden of resources on the roads, the infrastructure, the water, the sewage. All those things are just being overburdened, and not to mention the supply of food has to come to all these kind of buildings. So yeah, whenever there is a profit, there is always a negation of what we call as resources are optimally designed for just getting the best profit. Instead of values of a person, it would be like we would have homes that are not having walls at least. That is one of the things that we'll find a difference in. Because walls are to keep away human beings only. I don't think they are keeping away animals as as such, but then only human beings are kept away by walls and electric fences and all these kind of things. Yeah. Despite our efforts, we have hit a wall, as evidenced by communism and capitalism. So I think we stopped here somewhere. Communism failed to break free from the pursuit of profit and ended up striving for national profit, while capitalism unabashedly prioritizes profit. Yeah, so definitely we can see that in the countries that are rich, there are also giving away the burden of the manufacturing to the poor countries, and adding value to the products and then selling that same products to themselves or to others who are in need, or who are coming up in the financial good spot. So basically what happens is raw materials are extracted from these third world countries, and they are brought here, and then profit is made on that, and then they are again sent back to the countries so that they are making profit again on the final product also. Yeah, so, and inevitably the government also gains from this by taxing of everything actually. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, Bhaiya, we missed for a 2 3 seconds, but
Huh.
then it came back.
Huh. I just got a notification that the internet is unstable. So yeah, yeah, okay. So therefore, the human must grasp their values to emancipate themselves from profit and loss. So this means that we are supposed to grasp our value, our like when we talk about human beings, how important is a human being, and when we talk about money, how important is a money. And Babaji once said very nicely that the highest a person can earn is another human being.
Yeah.
So that is such a beautiful, concept, because you cannot earn more money when there is no limit to money earning. But when you earn a person, you earn their trust. That would be the highest thing a human being can earn. So that is a very good way of valuing. And indeed, somebody who has earned somebody's trust has actually earned what he or she has. So I was always fascinated by this sentence, that how beautiful that sentence is. Okay, the highest somebody can earn is another human being. So by that he means by his values only or her values only. It doesn't mean anything else. By winning their sort of heart, I would say, through your values, or what is called the vyavhar, the behavior with that person, and we will win their uh, basically the heart is a very simple word, but yeah, one would say that you can win their heart by earning a person, not by economic gains or anything like that, but earning their respect, earning their trust, earning their love. So these are the kind of things that we are talking about. So fulfilling human values is imperative. How can this be achieved? Human values are realized through understanding, Jeevan Vidya, that is comprehending existence in the form of coexistence and embracing humane conduct with confidence. This in itself constitutes understanding. So again, we are reminded of what is understanding. Embracing humanity with coexistence, with understanding coexistence, that is constitutes understanding. Very simple, just two lines, but very moving in a way to implement in our day-to-day behavior, in our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day activities and actions. So yeah. Okay, we have our two um, people who are good at reading. Anybody who would like to volunteer?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
Yes.
We are getting a voice is cutting. Maybe if you can
Is
unmute
it
and yeah,
is it audible now?
yeah, yeah. Now it's okay.
Okay. So only when we begin to embody human values do we become capable and consequently proficient in doing what is right.
Mm.
Until then, we remain ensnared. Okay. We
Ensnared.
remain
Ensnared. Like it's a
ensnared.
we are trapped, huh? Ensnared.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ensnared by various obsessions, unable to discern the path towards righteousness.
Mm.
Humans need to understand Jeevan and humane conduct in coexistence in order to become wise. This
Mm.
itself is Jeevan Vidya.
Mm.
Vidya has two parts: knowledge of Jeevan and the knowledge of holistic view of coexistence. Jeevan is the carrier and bearer of both these things. The knowledge of Jeevan means the process of a Jeevan understanding Jeevan. The
Mm.
process of understanding existence by a Jeevan is called knowledge of the holistic view of coexistence.
Mm.
All Jeevans are identical, and therefore the Jeevan within all humans are inherently alike.
Mm.
What defines this sameness? This
Mm.
becomes evident that all Jeevans share the same capacity for understanding Jeevan, evidencing knowledge, comprehending existence, and evidencing coexistence.
Mm. Okay. So we only can begin to embody human values, uh, and then we become capable and consequently proficient in doing what is right. So until then, if we look at this sentence, it actually means that if we don't begin to embody human values, we will keep on doing the wrong things. Just by mere mathematical, I'm just reversing the words. So when it says only when we begin, right? So that means only when we begin to embody human values. So until then, we are doing everything which is wrong. So that's what this sentence means actually. So yeah, it is a very deep and profound sentence. Until then, we remain ensnared by various obsessions, unable to discern the path towards righteousness. So, here the word again means we are trapped. So, ensnared means trapped by various obsessions, and this by means is what the market forces will put upon us because we are not having any foundation towards righteousness. We have all these waves of market forces that are coming on us, be it from peer pressure. You're in the classroom, there is some peer pressure there. You're at the workplace, there is some peer pressure there. So all these things happening, left, right, and center because we are not knowing the righteousness. So yeah, we'll be ensnared. So this is a great again word. I just we are trapped in that, the rat's race rather, So humans need to understand Jivan and humane conduct in coexistence in order to become wise. So again, wisdom or understanding how does one become wise is by understanding humane conduct. Um, if anybody has a question, they can raise their hand or they can just directly unmute and ask. I'm just following the lines, and I think they are quite self-explanatory, quite easy to understand, yet also quite profound. This itself is Jivan Vidya. So the whole process of humane conduct, right? The humane conduct, let me just highlight it. Humane conduct in coexistence in order to become wise. So humane conduct in coexistence, that is what is Jivan Vidya, humane conduct. So yeah, this is a very simple but very profound statements here. Vidya has two parts, knowledge of Jivan and the knowledge of holistic view of coexistence. Again, we are differentiated at how the Vidya can be classified into. The Jivan is the carrier and the bearer of this both. The knowledge of the Jivan means the process of Jivan understanding Jivan. Hmm. So only Jivan can understand another Jivan. That is another great, and it only does this through behavior, and it imparts the knowledge also through behavior. So that is also one more thing that we can keep in mind. The process of understanding existence by Jivan is called knowledge of the holistic view of coexistence. So When we say process, basically, I think it means education, or how, the way we educate through maybe dialogues or discourses or maybe acharan behavior. That's how we are calling that there is the knowledge of holistic view of coexistence. Anybody would like to add on to this before I continue?
Yeah, I think what it is trying to say is the process of understanding existence
Hmm.
is done. Even is called the knowledge of the holistic view of coexistence. Means when we are understanding our being, now
Hmm.
that is only possible when we understand the coexistence part, that is the vyapak, and then only we will be able to see our being. In individually we are not able to see our being. Once we see the coexistence, then only we can understand the existence. I think that is what it's trying to say.
Hmm. And coexistence is indeed coexistence of a lot of things, like even space and matter, but also there is matter and the coexistence of matter on with the plant order, the animal order also coexisting with the plant order, everything.
Correct, correct.
Yeah. So it's not just space or not just matter in space, it's existing of coexisting everything. Everything is coexisting with everything else. And there's also another word, interdependent. That means it is not dependent and it is also not independent. That is called, there's another word which I liked very much. It's called interdependent. I don't know if we can actually use that instead of coexistence, but the coexistence is obviously the right word here. But just to get it to the audience, maybe who are aware of this word of dependency, there is opposites of independent, which is dependent, and then there's something called interdependence or interdependency. So you could understand it like that. Symbiosis is also another a similar word, but then again, that is just concerned with maybe biological life forms. You know, you cannot you put symbiosis with human beings. I don't know if it's possible even, but symbiosis is usually with I've heard it with plants and bacteria and all those kind of things, but never with human relationships or something like that. So yeah, coexistence covers everything actually in that sense. But we can understand, like if you give an example of symbiosis, you will understand how the bacteria infect a plant's roots, and in the process they derive the glucose from the plant, and at the same time the plant is feeding those bacteria, and in the reverse what the bacteria do is spread their tentacles out into to the root system, and it's called mycorrhiza fungi, and it goes deep down and gets the water and gets the nutrients and then supplies it to the root. So the infection actually in the root system is, if you sometimes pull out some sort of beans, you will see there are small granular makeups in the roots, the fiber of the roots. And those granules of makeup of roots are actually infections by bacteria there, which are actually positively working for the plant. So yeah, symbiosis, we are actually in a rude way or crude way of saying it, we are all infected with everything else, and that's how we are functioning so rightfully and nicely. And this is true. Once we know the scientific way, like our gut bacteria has so many DNAs of microbes and bacterias, that even our DNA is suppressed. Like our DNA is just maybe 1 or 2% only. The rest of the species of bacteria that we carry in our body, especially in our gut system, I was just very shocked to understand that, and that there is so many DNA signatures of viruses, bacteria, and microbes that and they are actually eating the food that we are eating, and then they are processing it, and then we are absorbing this bacteria as as nutrition, and we are killing off the bacteria, and that becomes poshtikta, or that becomes nutrition for us. So same thing happens with animals also. They have the digestive system very intertwined with bacteria and microbes. So yeah, definitely coexisting we can understand like that.
uh,
Yes,
I would also
yes.
like, sorry,
Huh.
No, no, continue, please continue.
I just wanted to say that you use the word interdependence, it's right, but we cannot say interdependence is coexistence,
Yes, yes, definitely.
but it's a part of coexistence.
Huh.
Sometimes just being together, like you are there, I am here,
Mm.
that is also coexistence. We are not necessarily interdependent on each other for something.
Right.
So
Yeah,
what
but
is coexistence is the space between us that we are into already,
Mm,
I feel.
yeah, good
Yeah.
point. Maybe that the interdependence is also requiring a closeness of which coexistence does not require, right? Mm.
So it's in coexistence, you can say Jeevan is always connected. It's not losing the connection.
Mm.
So if we say interdependence, it means it is dependent and will get something it is already getting. So that
Ah,
is the difference between interconnection and coexistence. So
ah,
coexistence is the right word because we are
right
all,
word.
Jeevan is always connected.
Right,
As
right.
what I take from this particular paragraph is that
Mm. Mm.
there are sentient and insentient parts. Sentient parts be the Jeevan, and
Mm.
it is the Jeevan who is the perceiver of the coexistence. And the
Mm.
beautiful point is every Jeevan is capable of perceiving. So the capability is there.
Mm.
So that is very important thing, that every Jeevan can uh, perceive the coexistence.
Ah, right. So
That
this is the
it can,
similarity. Ah.
yes, it can understand that it is saturated
Mm.
in the space.
Mm. Yeah.
Saturated means all three things to be bigigiri. So it's always
Mm.
always in coexistence with the space or
Mm.
the omnipotence or the omnipresence.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that is what we can say.
Mm. Right. Great. Okay, so I think, yeah, I'll just read quickly and then we can start again to read the next one. All Jivans are identical. We just discussed how that is possible. And therefore, the Jivans within all humans are inherently alike. What defines this sameness? It becomes evident that all Jivans share the same capacity for understanding Jivan, evidencing knowledge and comprehending existence and evidencing coexistence. So I was just reminded of how Babaji was actually looking for something which was going to unify or find the similarity between all Jivans, rather all human beings. And he found the values to be inherently all caste, creed, independent, and the values were there, which were all the same. And especially the seven types of relationships we can see. Um, for the newer audience, are we all aware of the seven relationships? We mentioned it, I think, once.
I'm not.
Yeah, you can raise your hand if you're not aware. Maybe then we can just briefly recap them. But yeah, that
Yeah,
is what.
I'm not aware.
Okay. Okay, Shanshi. So I'll just go through them very quickly, but you can just relate to it with the reality of our lives. So, for example, the first relationship that Babaji described as universal, like, science has to be universal. So he has said that first relationship that is universal is the husband-wife relationship. That's where it starts. And then the second relationship is the parent-child relationship. So it's like you're actually going in a sequence. When there's the husband-wife, there will be a child. So then the parent-child relationship, that's the second one. Then the third one is the teacher-student relationship. So when there's a child, it grows up and they have a teacher. So that's the third relationship, teacher-student. Then the fourth one is when the child, sorry, yeah, you can say that they have a sister to the sibling relationship. So now you have a child, and then that child has another brother or sister. So the sibling relationship. So those are four relationships: husband, wife, parent, child, teacher, student, sibling relationship, right? And then the fifth one is when they grow up, they're having the employer employee relationship. So they are, like there is that relationship between somebody who is under somebody, and then they're having that sort of relationship. So the employer employee relationship is there. And then the
No, but yeah, employer-employer relationship somewhere is loosely said to be Soshan Shashan. It
uh,
is Sahayogi, I think. Or the
Sayogi, right, right. So I'm
yeah,
finding word.
Sabon.
What shall we
Yeah,
use for that word?
colleagues, I think,
Okay.
colleagues.
Colleagues,
Yeah.
yes, yes, colleagues.
Okay, great. So from now on, we'll call that colleague relationship. So that's was it the fifth or sixth? I think fifth. And then the sixth relationship is the stranger relationship, where you are like with a stranger, maybe with a shopkeeper or somebody. You go to the out to the shopkeeper, and then you have the it's basic relationship. You just know them, maybe that they are the person who is giving you something, but there's no such contact with them as such. But you know them at that level of relationship. So I actually have skipped one, and I don't know where I could just skip.
Friend, mitra.
Yes, friend. So that comes between the colleagues, maybe after the colleagues. So the friendship relationship is there, right? Great. So seven types of relationships basically, and that's how these relationships are actually universal. So that's one of the what Babaji has said, that this is almost, in fact, scientific way of understanding and comprehending this knowledge, and it is going to be same everywhere. And in fact, the relationships will survive the test of time. That's another thing that what science is all about. So even after we pass on, the relationships still stand, because Jeevan keeps on incarnating again and again, and these sort of seven relationships will always be there. We as a body will not be there, but our Jeevan will be coming back to this earth or wherever, but we will be obviously within those seven realms of relationships. Somewhere we will be the brother sister, somewhere will be the friend, somewhere with the colleagues, somewhere will be the stranger relationship, somewhere will be the husband wife. So all these kind of seven relationships are there. So yeah. And evidencing coexistence. So this is how we will be coexisting and evidencing it through our behavior. Uh, the question arises sometimes. I just want to point this out. Most of the time, what happens within our day-to-day life is that the expectation is not met. I'm saying this because sometimes I see there's an underlining uh, uh, the disturbance that happens in our day-to-day lives, and that is because we have not identified the relationship. Somewhere we might find that somebody is a friend, somewhere we might find out that somebody is a just like a colleague of ours, and we will build that kind of expectation with that. So the expectation is built on that identification of the relationship. So it's very important to identify the relationship. Most of the time what happens is that when the relationship is not identified, the expectations becomes too high or too low, in which both cases the clarity of the relationship is not there, hence the bonding, the trust, and all these kind of things start to dwindle. And this indeed is the problem of the today's day and age, and where we are seeing that there are game shows and there are TV serials, and they are showing this live things that a group is against another group, and then they are trying to cheat each other so that they can win, and they are showing how to cheat each other to get the big prize. And this is kind of the kind of brainwashing, I would say, is going on, when the Jeevan itself inherently is, as we said, as a child. Satya Vakta means the speaker of truth, and Nyayaka Achak, which means the bearer of justice. A child, if is it the right way to say it? Nyayaka Yachak, or somebody who expects justice. A child always expects justice.
We can also say a child is very curious.
Hmm.
Jigyasu.
Right.
Jigyasu is the better word.
Hmm.
I think न्याय अभी बच्चे को मालूम ही नहीं होगा. He is not aware what the justice is. So,
Ah,
but yes, he is very inquisitive to know everything. So
right.
that is the word used by Babaji,
Ah,
that every child is
curious.
yeah, curious or inquisitive.
Ah. So, but yeah, somewhere, I think there is a sentence, Satya Vakta and Nyayaka Yachak. So I think he has used it for children, isn't
Mm.
it? So,
Yes, yes, yes.
so,
Hare
huh.
Pranav, Nyay ke Yachak, and of course a child would also, because if he sees like two siblings are there, and if
Ah,
proper justice, the rightest way is not done, they know. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's,
they of course are the bearer, they perceive that thing, they
yeah,
expect that.
we expect that, right?
And yes, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a very good example. Was that even if a child does not know fractions, be it even a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, If you give a bigger piece of sweet or something like that to the elder, and a small piece to the smaller one, the smaller brother, even though he's 2 years old, he will actually start crying, or he will start to way of saying that there is some injustice being done. So the Jeevan does not know the age as such. It will not like say that since I'm young, let give me less, something like that. It will just keep on asking for or expecting justice ultimately. Yeah.
Who is Ravi Bhaiya? Someone has joined, and this scratch done on the screen. Someone
Mhm.
new has joined.
Yeah, Ravi Bhaiya, I think you're new to us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Because I can see some yellow scratches on the screen.
Yeah.
So
I,
someone, yes, so I just
I
saw
think
someone has been
just
added.
I'll just stop sharing and
Maybe
I'll share it
he's my
again.
son. Uh, let me check
Sorry,
whether he
sorry,
is.
Bhaiya. No, I was
Maybe.
just
So I am in a different room, and he's studying basically. So it
Uh,
is possible that he may have joined.
hmm. Yeah, I'll just share it again. Okay. Okay. So, shall we take it away again now? The capacity from there onwards, Shreyanshi.
Yeah. The
Mm.
capacity for
sorry,
understanding does
sorry
not
to
reside
interrupt you.
in.
Uh,
Hello. Sorry
yes.
to
Yeah,
interrupt
no,
you. I
Uh,
was just pondering what I missed when you were saying something, Bhaiya, previously.
mm,
I also remember what Babaji has told about Sampark and Sambandh.
mm,
So we also have to see that now I can't recollect what is said,
mm,
but first we start with the contact. Sampark is just a contact. We have not established any relationship with that.
mm,
So you have to decipher first what is a sambandh and a sampark, and then after you know that it is more than a sampark, we get into a relationship, and that's how we fit ourselves into those seven relationships. So I
right.
just wanted to tell the
Mm,
starting point is that the
yeah.
sampark and the sambandh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's also important since we are talking about education, and let's talk openly a little bit here. What happens is in this day and age where Priya Hit Labh is like the prime way of thinking right now, and indeed a person who is thinking of it as an exploitative way of thinking, they will always be like the bully, trying to achieve the things in their mind, and they will not know or care for the feelings of the other, and hence the way of trusting somebody who is not into darshan will be after maybe very wise choices of that person. He or she is giving time to that relationship, and then they are coming together. But when we talk about darshan, I think a lot of people will be already sorted in the sense that they will know what it is and how it is important to maintain a relationship. I think that is very crucial to say it here, because we are seeing so many like the media is full of movies and all these kind of things of how people are being cheated, and how to cheat people, and how to make a mockery of a relationship. And in that such a world, it is so hard to trust somebody. And in that process, what is happening, the person is becoming more lonelier and lonelier, even though there are so many colleagues that they are with, so many friends that they are with. They with the new generation, I'm seeing that they are never comfortable trusting somebody fully. And the question is coming in my mind is that the reason of this is also that a person can get away with it, and that person is regarded as hero. I was just looking at this way in the it is happening in the politics also. The person who is a bully, who has done some crimes, who has done some ills with women or something like that, they are given the spud, and they are given the political status, and they are running the politics. And it is gone to that extent, and this is very disgraceful, I would say, because this is.
Bhaiya, yes, yes. The question in any of the relationship or everything
Hmm,
is again the same. The way we are doing the uh, deliberation, and deliberation
hmm,
is based on uh, profit and
Right.
health and
Create love.
pleasure.
Right.
So if it is on the basis of justice, dharma,
Mhm.
and truth, then I
Right.
think all the problem will be resolved and the
Exactly.
trust will be again built. So that
Right.
is
I
the
sorry.
that is the yes, Shriyanshi.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. But I think the problem with trust is starting from home only because
Mm.
there's a very small kid, okay, he has done something. What will his mother say to her? Aja मैं नहीं मारूंगी. And then what does she does? मारती है. So the trust problem is starting from the home only. Now, as we grow, we start seeing things. Okay, the kids I would talk about
Uh,
because we are talking openly on the young generation. So
mm.
as we grow, we see many more things like this.
Mm.
एग्जाम में 95% लेके आएगा तो फोन दिला दूंगी नया 94 लेके आया 96
Right.
लेके आया पर फोन अभी नहीं मिलेगा क्योंकि चलो एग्जाम में तो लेके आया बट अभी 11 12th का क्या
Uh,
राइट फोन नहीं मिला अगेन
uh,
ट्रस्ट इशू बिल्डअप यू
Broken.
So
एंड सबसे बड़ा झूठ
Uh,
10वीं 10th कर लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा 12th कर लो सब और मास्टर्स करने के बाद में भी ठीक नहीं हो पा रहा है
नहीं हो पा
तो
रहा
सबसे बड़ा ट्रस्ट इशू तो वही हो गया है
है। हाँ।
नाउ अगेन when you go so after all of these trust issues build up from the house when you go out in the world no, everybody feels like नहीं नहीं ये तो झूठ ही बोल रहा है ये तो सच कैसे ही हो सकता है this is a lie this is a... so
Right.
what you start searching for is not a truth in a person or when they say things it's a lie you search for
हाँ।
so I think कि अभी जो मेजरली ये ट्रस्ट इश्यूज वाला इफ वी स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट ये मेजरली बिल्ड घर से ही स्टार्ट हो रहा है एंड बाहर जाके it is enlarging no doubt that it's not enlarging and things are not happening outside the house no doubt in that they are happening but
Mm.
then
Mm.
the root cause maybe according to me is home only.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Shriyanshi, the answer lies in that the basic unit of the coexistence is the family. So, definitely it has to start from the family. The
Mm.
family, yes, this trust should be built. There should be a justice, there should be dharma, that is orderliness, and there should be coexistence. So, if it starts from the family, the problems will be resolved. And from family to the society, and then society to the overall the
Humanity.
universe.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Right.
overall
Yeah,
humanity.
because since childhood we are learning this only कि कोई बात नहीं कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता इतना सा झूठ बोलने से but we are not understanding that this इतना सा झूठ is creating a lot of trust issues. I mean it is the seed of the issue starting any issue it is so it is the seed.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has to be settled out, even at home, everywhere. It has to be settled
Yeah.
out.
Mm.
Majorly at home, not even at home, majorly at homes because
Mm.
it is starting from there, right? We are learning to lie from home. We are learning to not trust from home.
Mm. Yeah. I would like to say something, but Neelam Bhavi had raised her hand. Please, Neelam Bhavi.
Okay, now today, as today is the day for love and
Valentine.
expressing that it's a Valentine's Day, I would like to also say, family में ही सब कुछ your जीवन प्रमाणित family में होता है, स्व में नहीं होता है, in individual नहीं होता है. I understand that is correct, but as Mahindra Bhaiya repeatedly emphasizes of one thing is today human race has not got proper words. They use very loose words. We don't have meaningful words or we don't have words with proper meanings. Now trust का meaning क्या है? तो पहले विश्वास खुद में होता है, आप खुद का कैसा है आचरण, and later on that's how if you have that you are proper, then the other person will be able to establish that confidence in you, their
Right.
trust in you.
Yeah.
So we just use very loose words, but I think today there is no proper education. That is why I would also like to point out here, if you all are aware, there is a workshop conducted on parenting course by Mahindra Bhaiya on every Sunday. One Satra has been done. There are coming more 5 sessions. It is for parents and it is also for kids to understand, I feel.
Yeah.
And he has brought out very nicely. Thank you.
Right.
Mm.
Great point outs. And I think as future parents, indeed, if we are in a age which we are above our teenage, maybe we should also comprehend these courses. At least we can take pointers from that and tell our parents that, look, I have learned this. I hope you learn it too. Because This is as Shreyanshi said that.
Sorry, Bhaiya, to interrupt.
Uh,
Uh, but it says, see, I may be a little this thing, but Mahendra Bhaiya ka ek baat, what he has told is very, I like that. that
mm,
अगर आप समझ गए हो कुछ
uh,
चीज, तो पहले तो आप अगर जीवन विद्या परिचय शिविर भी कर रहे हो, तो
uh,
इसका मतलब ये नहीं आप समझ गए हो तो आपको दूसरों को समझाना ही है, कि
uh,
हम वो पेरेंट्स को, वरना है ना उसमें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होती हैं,
uh,
क्योंकि we are not having that full knowledge. I am not pointing what you have said, but per se, because there is an audience who is going to also
mm,
watch this video.
mm.
So I
No, I was
feel,
coming to that. I was coming to that Babaji has said a very good sentence कि सत्य का प्रस्ताव कोई नकार नहीं सकता है. That means the proposal of a truth, the proposal of a truth cannot be denied by anyone. So that in itself is a sentence that if we have a way of projecting the the truth the right way, then obviously it will not be disqualified or it will not be discredited. एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट आई वाज कमिंग टू कि हाँ, हम लोग अगर समझ गए तो हम लोग वो करने के लिए ना कहेंगे तो हमारे पास भी एक वजह होगी. वी विल बी हैविंग अ रीज़न टू से नो ऑफ व्हाट टू नॉट डू और डू, एंड दैट विल बी द बेसिस विल बी knowledge again, and again that knowledge will be again lined with coexistence. So we have to also take care that is it in line with coexistence. So we are taking knowledge obviously not to bully or not to belittle anyone, but to self align ourselves and indeed our parents or anybody else. Because I think the one thing which parents and children have, and today's parents indeed, is that they have a sort of two-way street when it comes to dialogue. So indeed, if we are in a line with the truth, सत्य का प्रस्ताव है, सत्य की चीज को कोई नकार नहीं सकता है. So then I think the dialogue definitely becomes a genuine dialogue. It's not confronting, it's not a debate, it's something that is productive, and that is actually genuine thing that is needed. That the parents also feel. See, I will give an example. If a child is kept under the wings of the parents all the time, that child will not become to grow out bold and self-sufficient or something like that. But the child will always be looking for a shelter to work under or something like that. But if the child is bold, it's understanding, it's learning the things, and indeed it knows how to teach. If the parents and the teachers help the child to put across their point of view, that's very important. The children of today's day and age, I think they are allowed this somewhat. In before's children's, they were not allowed to speak up in the classroom or debate or with the teacher or anything like that. But in the houses, I see today that they are arguing, but these arguments are unnecessary arguments. These arguments are for the material things. But if the children are educated, or when I mean educated, I mean with the knowledge of coexistence, then definitely the dialogues in the house will be much more conducive to a lasting relationship based on trust building, and yeah, words of that accord. So that was my point. And Shreyanshi, again, you pointed out a very beautiful thing, that the household is the place that we are not taught this. So again, it all comes down to that thing that only we are becoming the knowledgeable person. As also Neelam Babi said, we become the self, also become the centered, and into our centeredness, we are finding the truth. And then when we are strong in our center also, we will also find that the other person is maybe more or less, हम लोग उसका वो तुलना विशेषण वो कर सकते. We can wait out if they are in that particular place that they can understand, then we will be also be able to tell them in an understanding manner so that they can also understand. And that is my point, that we have ultimately has to be that person that is grounded within us. One last thing before I continue, I just remembered, um, a simple thing like food, for example, is there for our nutrition. We are not able to grasp this at as an existential point of view, even though we are doing so much of reading, so much of talk about coexistence, so much talk about how the body is coexisting with the air, the water, the nutrients, the food that we eat. But yet we are not able to control sometimes our senses. It is a simple experiment that we are doing together, right? If we look at our body, is it at optimal performance? Is it that we get tired after we climb 100 steps? If that is so, then the body is not at the optimum performance. That means we are actually not trusting our own conclusions, and we are not trusting the body's needs to heal itself, the body's needs to stay healthy. And we are in fact putting up the placards for diabetes or for obesity or for any of those things in the future might happen. But so I am so actually glad, actually, in a way, that the all the people who are related or doing the darshan don't have any bad habits. I have noticed this one very beautiful thing, that there is no such thing as okay, I have to go out and smoke, or I drink, or I have this mawa in my mouth or anything like that. These things, it's a very beautiful thing, which something that I've actually can say is not the case in many most good cultured gatherings or all sort of things like that. So yeah, it starts with the self, it starts with the body, the trust in the self, and then the self goes and expands to the family, and then keeps on going societal and human beings all around. Yeah.
Yes, so, answer to Shreyanshi and whatever discussion we have done, which
Hmm.
I have understood that again, how the trust can be built. Basically, once again, we have to go back to the content of imagination. So the content of imagination, although in detail it is all the 10 kriyas, but in a layman language, it is the innate nature of human being. A second one is the preconditioning, and the third one is sensitivity. So this content of imagination is not fully the natural acceptance or the innate nature. It also has certain preconditioning. It also has certain information which is reaching through senses.
Hmm.
So that is why it has got corrupted. Now,
Hmm.
that is why there is a lack of faith or lack of trust among people. So once this will be cleared, that is, once this will be more of a natural acceptance or the innate nature, then the trust will be built. So that is the issue which I consider कि ट्रस्ट बनेगा तब जब हम अपना जो नेचुरल सहज प्रवृत्ति हर इंसान अपने इमेजिनेशन पे ला पाएगा. And the answer lies in again that the deliberation should take place on the basis of justice, dharma, and truth. So
True.
once again, it will start happening. I think the trust will be there, buddhi will both will be there, and then later on, anubhav will be there, realization will be there. So that is my take on how we can make trust, how we can create trust in the families and in the elsewhere.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm sure that
So
all the हाँ भैया.
by this understanding, by this understanding and working on that, yes, we
Hmm.
can reach to that stage.
Yeah.
Yes, Bhaiya.
I think you have put the point at a very good ending. The understanding is the prime focus here, and indeed, a person who is knowledgeable, we are उसके प्रति हमारी वो है था ना एक तरह का रिस्पेक्ट बन जाता है. We always tend to respect or follow or indeed look up to somebody who is knowledgeable. So at the end of the day, it becomes our clarity with the darshan, our clarity with coexistence, and the principles laid down by this philosophy, and that will inevitably take us to a place that we are saturated in a sort of calm, in a sort of tranquil behavior. We don't have any ups and downs in ourselves. जिसको कहते हैं ना बाबा जी, we are not affected by the circumstances. That is your biggest qualification. So be it may whichever circumstances comes, us not getting affected by it is our qualification. I might be getting the words mixed up here, but हमारा जो what was भैया, what was that sentence, हमारा जो when we are not reacting to something, that is our the qualification. हमारा नहीं रहना उस.
The स्वभाव गति,
हम्म.
स्वभाव गति. Hmm.
हम्म.
It's not under prabhav. In under
हम्म.
prabhav, we are doing the mistakes. But if we
हाँ.
have this our natural innate state,
हाँ.
then we will not be reacting.
वी आर नॉट अफेक्टेड, प्रभाव नहीं होता है कोई भी चीज़ों से,
Hmm.
राइट.
Yes,
Because
yes.
our swabhav is in that, is our point of balancing is a different point now. We're not thinking of just the body now. We're thinking at a coexistential point of view. So our all our actions, our thoughts, and our alignment also goes towards that thing. Just I will take one more minute. When we are arguing, for example, be it with our any relatives, and it might be over the parents, as we said, Shreyanshi said that we have so many things are in the household is not happening. We have to look at one thing. Is it more important to argue right now with the mudda or with the subject, or is it more important to have the relationship maintained or with the relationship intact? That I think it is a very good way of judging or coming to a halt, and maybe just recoiling yourself and then seeing that is it worth going on with this argument, with this thing, or is it adding to the relationship, or is it minusing to the relationship? Is the relationship going to be ruined by this, or be stronger like this when we go on with an argument or with whatever
But
cause we had? Huh.
yeah, but sometimes it happens that okay, if I choose the relationship, but then there is this lie which I cannot digest. Okay, so
Mm.
now then the person comes in dilemma that whether I should go for saving the relationship or I should go for saying the lie. Now, what one thing according to me can be done is, do at that point, especially if you're in a fight or something like that, at that point you can be silent and later on talk about it,
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
But then it happens that sometimes the people whom you are fighting with, if you are arguing with, I mean, so they're just not in that, I would say, they just don't have that thought process to understand. Okay,
Mm.
now what to do? Now, neither you can tell them the truth nor you can choose that relationship over, because anyways that is ruining the relationship, right? Because from the heart you are not there.
Mm.
uh, so how to deal with that then?
Uh, oh yeah, I will just write say one line, then I'll tell Neelam to talk. Just one line. When we are arguing with somebody or when we are angry with someone, the whole world disappears. Now this is something not in the darshan, but it's just something that I've realized. For example, when I'm driving the car and somebody overtakes me wrongly, or somebody cuts in front of me and then brakes and then takes a turn, and in my mind, is like, if you wanted to turn anyways, then why did you overtake me and then you are taking a turn and slowing your car and my car also in the process? So I get angry at that point. But then in that anger, I forget everything and everyone around me. It is just me and him, or and that point of reasoning it becomes that we are thinking individually. We're not thinking of the whole of coexistence and everything, anything else. So the anger is something that makes us completely disconnected with everything else, and we just see the problem, or we just see the problem person, not the whole of it, or why that person did that, or what might be the reason of that person doing that. He might be in a hurry. He has no training that has done gone through him. It is just an event, and we are just taking our getting our heart raced up. We want to shout at them, we want to curse at them, but it might be that there might be a genuine reason, and most of often than not, it is a genuine reason of non-training. They are not aware of the training. They just are in the hormonal high. They just want to accelerate and then de-accelerate whenever it is possible. So these are all things that have not been trained. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
this is already in this literature. It is
Hmm.
said that anger is a sign of our incapability.
That was what I
गुस्सा
was coming to.
हमारे अक्षमता का परिचायक है.
Yes. Yeah, I was coming to. I didn't remember that.
You have explained the same thing. When we are angry, we do not see anything. The
Yeah.
whole everything disappears.
Disappears, and that person and me only. Let's fight now.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, Neelam Bhabi.
Yes, Bhaiya. Like just an example. Suppose now in my family, we are seven people. Out of that, three people have done Jeevan Vidya,
Hmm.
and they have क्या वो समर्पित भाव है for this philosophy. They understand.
Hmm.
Now, but we are living with those other four people also.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when we are not on the same page means what? When our understanding is not the same goal
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm.
तो बाबा जी का एक सूत्र है कि हर एक है ना, मानव एक अपनी स्थिति गति में रहता है,
Hmm. Yeah.
लेकिन कभी ना कभी वो उस और जाएगा. So we have to have that patience level. Of
Mm.
course, that moment sometimes we, because of our, as Ganesh Bhaiya said, because of our incapability to handle that situation,
Mm.
and we have still not instilled in us the सहजता से हम वो कर नहीं पाते हैं, वो धीरता जो
Mm.
हमको होनी चाहिए।
Mm.
तो उसका वो अक्षमता ही है ना हमारे रिलेशनशिप में आता है। सो ऑल्सो गोइंग फर्दर, देर आर टू ऑप्शंस। आई हैव मैरिड टू अ पर्सन, मुझे लगता है कि कुछ झगड़े हो रहे हैं और नहीं हो रहा है, सो वी हैव टू ऑप्शंस, आइदर आई विल गिव अ डिवोर्स एंड जस्ट लीव दैट पर्सन, and the
Mm.
second thing is we have to see where our arguments are. It is all, I think, really related to body or something. If you are, when we actually speak about life, that's where, you know, we are talking something. So we both have to get to that same page. So do you want to ruin your relationship or you want to, and उसका क्या गारंटी है कि आप कहीं और भी जाओगे तो वही आप
Mm.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग से
Situation.
किसी और व्यक्ति के साथ जी पाओगे कि नहीं। सो बेसिकली
Mm.
दैट ऑल्सो डजंट मीन इफ दैट पर्सन, द अदर पर्सन, बहुत करने के बाद भी वी नो दैट वो हमारे साथ उस पेज पर नहीं आ सकता है।
Mm.
दैट्स वेयर मे बी वी कैन टेक दैट ड्रास्टिक है, बट आई थिंक it's not compromising, it's actually working out towards the understanding, towards the goal of a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
तो at that spur of the, and very nicely मुझे तो आनंद भैया ने जो वो कहा, you know, every we have to live, what is constant is this, the ever going present. There is nothing past or future. So what is living in the moment, or what is this, जो अभी है वही है present, वो गया वो क्षण था, अभी है ही नहीं हमारे पास।
Mm.
So with that understanding, with that satarta, we have to, with that alertness, जो सतर्कता और सजगता बाबा जी कहते हैं, वी हैव टू बी, एक बार अगर वी आर you know very much firm that we want to go on this path of jagrati,
Mm.
so we are automatically, you know, very alert in our, suppose expert मैं गुस्सा हो गई, but you know the very next moment when I'm
Mm.
sitting, I know that this was wrong.
हाँ.
Sometimes people don't realize that. So when we know that we are doing something wrong, that means कुछ अपने जीवन में क्रिया हो रही है, just be with that. I think that's how वो अभ्यास अध्ययन होगा. That's what I feel, this is अध्ययन and अभ्यास in your day to day life also, with
Mm.
understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think.
Wonderful, wonderful. She
हाँ.
has. I would like to add only one sentence
हाँ.
that for Shriyanshi or anyone else, when we are into Jeevan Vidya, but there is still our behaviors are not stable. Na? So we are learning stage, you can say. Then when we are interact with those people who are not following Jeevan Vidya, then what happens is that based on their behavior, we also involve in them or we also start arguing with them. So that is the mistake we do. And then other person also says what you are learning from Jeevan Vidya. So that is the question again and again I ask. The first thing is let us improve ourselves. Let us make changes in ourselves based on the Jeevan Vidya. And once it will be shown in our personality, the other person is bound to be affected. As
Mm.
Neelam Babi said, wait and watch, have patience.
Mm. Yeah. And adding to that, I think great discussion today, by the way. We just have 1 minute, so I'll take just a small conclusion to it. Maybe then after that, we can ask Riyanshi if we can get more out of it. If she wants to, we can discuss tomorrow. I think it is very important that the human being understands the whole cycle or the nature of the upbringing of the event. Like for example, whatever the event is, be it like simple event of just saying that we are allowed or we are going out more often than our parents or grandparents did. I think it's the very simple and very understandable kind of scenario. So in this case, we can see that somebody is being brought up in an environment which was like maybe 50 years ago or something like that, where they were not allowed so openly to be so outgoing. That's, if that is a right word. And in the today's day and age, we are finding that there are so many people in our surrounding, in our colleagues, in our friends circle. There is so, and there are so many places to go out also. At that time, You can imagine there were just forest around, in the village, and the village was something like maybe say 100, 200, 300 families, not more than that. So even to go out after night, there would not be street lights, maybe even. Now we have street lights also, so there's no fear of animals or anything like that. So there's so many circumstances pertaining to an event, and in their mind, that is still the fear, that kind of situation is in their mind, and that's how they've been brought up, and that is still being instilled through their knowledge or through their wisdom, and then it is coming back to us. But then we are like, अरे हम तो को कोई problem नहीं है. We have so many things to do outside which are productive or which are beneficial to us. So why are we being stopped? But we also have to be empathic, I think that is the right word, towards their upbringing, towards their circumstances, towards their, and as Bhaiya and Bhabhi said, we have to be patient. I think if we can explain to them, okay, dekho, you were like this, but then if we go and explain to them, that is again, they will say that our children never told us things like this. Who are you to talk like this? So I think it is a very, you have to focus on trust. I think anybody who focuses on building the trust, talking with authority disqualifies it anytime. So if you have a trustful talk with somebody, be it your relative who is a elder also, it will be more fruitful than to work with cutting corners with authoritative figures and all this kind of thing. Even authoritative figures have their mindset broken down or understood by this clarity that we are having. That, so the thing is that we should have the clarity, we should have the ability to talk to the things, understand it, and then maybe even spell it to them that they can understand it. So we have to be in their perspective. Why are they saying this? Why are they doing this? Why are they stopping us? We have to understand their perspective, their way of when they were brought up, how they were brought up, what circumstances they were brought up in. They will say that we had to walk to school, we had to cycle to school, you guys are getting it so easy. But then you have to say that this is what is called evolution, this is what we called economic growth and all these things. So it was not there at your time, but we are lucky now to have it, and this is called human evolution. This is part of it. We have to be proud of it. It's nothing to be complaining about. है ना? So yeah, Shreyansh, any last thoughts?
About it, I'll work on it. And this other thing, I guess I have a very strong shield as my mother, so I just don't have to go through this with my relatives and everybody. But because I am in the family and I see people around me, and even I also get angry with my relatives sometimes. So, uh, yeah, we are in the learning stage, and I have actually just very recent. So it's gonna take time, but I'm sure I'm gonna reach there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think this sort of discussions will help and does help, and I'm hoping that we are having this sort of discussions for this one very basic reason, that yeah, let's have a dialogue between what needs to be done and what is the darshan that we have. So yeah, that was the main reason. Yeah. So it is time, and we hope to see everybody tomorrow. And everybody, let's have a good night. Thank you for
Good
joining.
night. Good night. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.